Hello, this is Crow99, and this is my Kerbal Space Program Series, Episode 4. So, in this episode, I'm going to be going to Minimus, which for those of you that aren't familiar with the Kerbal system, which is basically the Earth analog, it has the Moon MUN, which is just basically an analog for the real Moon, but then Minimus, which is a bit like a captured asteroid, it's very small. I believe it has the second or the third lowest gravity in the entire Kerbal system. One of those, very low gravity. And it kind of looks like its surface is covered with ice. Well, anyway, even though it's hard to first get there, as compared to the Moon, and so therefore hard to slow down and get a landing, once you're there, it's very easy to lift off and get back because it has such low gravity. As you can see here, I'm just building this ship. Now, the first time around, I actually ran into some trouble. Just gonna check the audio. So yes, I had a bit of trouble. Now this recording, I did record first, so I built this ship, then you haven't seen the rest, but I built the launch stage and the transfer stage, then I went and got into orbit, but I built it. I tried this thing called asparagus staging, which I'm by the way going to be doing a tutorial on soon if you can't understand what I'm doing in the video. But anyway, I heard that was really efficient, so I didn't even bother to install the rocket boosters. Not a good idea, just that little bit less. I didn't have enough fuel, so I went back. I decided to keep this original bit because it did so most of the building. All I really did was change a few little things and add the solid rocket booster. Still though, I kind of wish I'd maybe tried this before doing the whole series, maybe in sandbox mode, because I made a lot of mistakes in this. It's been a while since I built something to go to the Moon. I've been doing other missions, like going to planets and stuff, and I kind of undercompensated, you could say. Like, one of my biggest mistakes is I only put on a single parachute. Should have put on more, so that's a problem. So, I'll tell you about that later, but for now, you'll notice that unlike normal, I am only putting on a double booster, and now I'm putting on another layer. Now the reason for this is because if there's symmetry, then all the tanks would go under the same other ones. But let me explain how this works. So there's two side tanks, the first ones I put on, that have a fuel line leading from them into the central tank. Now those are the last to drop off. Now then there's two other tanks that have fuel lines leading into the first group of tanks, which are leading to the central. Then there's a third group of tanks that lead to that second group. Then those ones drop off first. So this is very efficient because you're almost never carrying around extra weight because you're always using the fuel. Then once you're out of fuel in those, you just jettison them. You can see I'm adding on this stuff there. Another problem I may have made is the use of the engines. Yeah, I used several LVT-45, so you use more LVT-30 for the outside because, at least for the first ones, because you don't really need to turn at the beginning of your liftoff, not till you're about 10 to 20,000 meters, so 30 to 60,000 feet. So yeah, it is a bit annoying, as you can see here, because you have to attach each strut individually, but it's not that bad. It just takes a little bit longer. So as you can see here now, I'm putting on ladders. So I only have this one kind of ladder right there, which doesn't extend, and that's kind of annoying because that's fairly inefficient in terms of weight and air resistance. Then I'm putting on this landing gear. I believe I put on 3 apparently. So you of course need at least 3. So on Minimus you can actually jump pretty high, but it's good to have the ladder going all the way down just in case. So yeah, now I'm putting on the goo canisters. Always good to bring that. Something to remember is I haven't even been within the sphere of influence of Minimus yet, so I can put on every single different science collector and get some amount. So there I'm putting on a 2 hot thermometer. I don't think I've used this yet. That's basically just another one of the little science things. It just collects temperature. So you can't use it in a vacuum. Well, you do end up using a vacuum, but you can't use it in empty space. Such. So yeah, here's the first iteration that I told you about, and oh no, this isn't. I already launched the one, so what I did is I just recorded the building, and then after that failed launch, I just got rid of those other recordings, and went back to build. So you probably can't tell because there's that little Bandicam watermark on the top, but I renamed this to Minimus Lander Mark II, and I put in all these solid rocket boosters. I probably could have been more efficient with them. I was thinking as I was launching that because the efficiency for them, like everything else, goes up as you get into lower, as you go up higher and there's less atmosphere, that I could have had the ones for the first layer of the liquid fuel rockets to go first, then the second, third, and so on, but I don't know, that's something to test at another date. And here I'm putting on the supports. Yeah. I recommend using those, by the way, because if you don't have those, then the rocket is being supported by the nozzles of the rockets, and that's not good, because if it falls, it could make them explode, so it's not very stable. It could tip over, which wouldn't be good. So, yeah, overall, I'm kind of disappointed with how I built this. The top stage might have had a bit much fuel. The bottom didn't have enough. Which isn't that bad. It worked out fine. The biggest problem is at the very end you're going to see I had a lot of trouble landing on carbon. Now, it's very easy to just land on something with an atmosphere, but I didn't think about the actual landing, so I was going... Oh, so I've been commentating that. So you notice there, and you might want to go back 30 seconds if you're actually interested in the asparagus staging, that I let off 1 and then 2, then this third group will be staying a bit longer because it's going to be more efficient at this point. But if you look in the left, the lower bit, that liquid fuel things, so it's how much fuel is in each tank, and you'll notice that earlier on it was lower in some of them, 2 were the same, and then higher in the others, and then when that lowest one ran out and dropped, oh, I'm about to jettison this one too, and that's gone. And now it's just that one tank. So I'm not sure if I explained this well before, but this is more efficient because normally what you're doing is that if you add more fuel, you're going to get more delta V, which is change the velocity, but then you also have to carry around all of that extra tanks, which is inefficient and a waste of delta V and a waste of thrust. So if you're jettisoning the extra tanks, and you're also losing extra things that are taking up fuel, it's a lot more efficient. You don't actually need the extra nozzles on those tanks. You could just have them all leading into one big one, but I find this more efficient, especially with the small tanks. Oh, you can see there, I was just checking my music. I was listening to music as this went. Something I actually noticed recently about the Bandicam is that because it records just computer sounds, every time I listen to music or I listen to podcasts or something, you can hear in the video, which is really helpful because I don't always remember. Sometimes I don't edit these together in EasyVid until hours or days later. So the music helps because I can see what song is playing at the end of one little clip and then change and then find the next clip that had that song in it. So you can see here I'm starting to orbit. Now this is what I mean by then the fuel in the lower bit. See, that one ran out. Now I still managed to get up, and it's actually had more change in velocity, had more thrust at this point because it was, even though smaller rockets, there was 5 of them and less mass. But generally what I like to do and what a lot of people do is that you have a launcher stage that just has rockets that are just a lot of thrust that can get you into orbit, transfer stage that can get you where you're going, and then a final stage that will let you land, maybe get back into orbit, I'm trying to say, then get back. But my transfer stage I used up while trying to orbit, which so it kind of worked. I mean, the first stage got it up into space, and the second stage got it into orbit. So you can see here I put a maneuver node to get myself to Minimus. Now, I don't think I've mentioned this, but there's this little trick you can do with the moon. You just watch the horizon from the vehicle from the spaceship, then when you see it rising over the horizon, you start thrusting forward, then you'll get an encounter, generally. With Minimus, there's no little trick like that as far as I know, because from the capsule and from Kerbin orbit, it looks like just a tiny little dot. I think it's just a few pixels. I don't know, I saw that somewhere. But you can just use a maneuver node, so it's not a big problem. And about to get it, and there we go. So, you're about to see how low the gravity on this is. Well, not quite yet, but if you have played KSP in a second, you'll realize how quickly I'm decelerating. Look there, my orbit at that height is only 303 meters per second. So, that's still pretty fast, of course, but for an orbit at that height, that's pretty slow. And because of that, look how quickly I'm able to get into an orbit instead of an escape trajectory. And look at that, 31.8 meters per second in orbit at that height. And now I'm getting all the different experiments. Yeah, transferring them back and stuff. One reason I didn't go to the moon or Minimus in the last episode was because of solar panels. Now, until you get solar panels or the nuclear reactor, or RTG I think it's called in game, the only way to generate electricity is through certain engines. Now that's generally fine because you only occasionally will use up all your electricity, which can be a problem because then you're dead in the water basically. You can't do much. Oh, I appear to have edited this clip twice. I doubled it up. I'm sorry about that. Wow, I do this a lot, as I'm sure you've noticed if you watch my videos. My very first video ever, like 3, 4, 5 minutes of it were doubled up. Now I was deleting tons of stuff trying to make room, because it was a bit of a long video, and look at this. I don't think I'm going to cut it out because, as I've mentioned before, because of the nature of this recording software, I have to delete all my audio. Yeah, it's only like, what, 2 minutes? Let me look at the thing. Yeah, it's only like a minute. So, let me reload this. As you can see, I'm orbiting into Minimus, and that clip is about to end. And skip forward. What's happening? Oh yeah. And here I am in orbit around Minimus. I think I was just trying to get a good shot here to show it. Yep. It's pretty cool looking from above because it's so small. All the canyons and hills and stuff look massive in comparison, even though they're really not that big. So you should get to see that pretty soon. I think I skipped to a clip looking down on it in a few moments. You also get to see me landing on it. It's really easy to land on. I would suggest to anybody that has the full game and is new to it, don't try to get to the moon unless you're just trying to get an encounter. If you want to land on something, go to Minimus, because it's so much easier to land than get back up. And it's honestly a lot more fun because of the low gravity of how high your Kerbals can jump. Actually, the EVA jetpack fuel has enough thrust to get you into orbit on Minimus. That's a fun little thing. Don't think that you can get back to Kerbin though, because there's no way you could survive falling back down. There's no parachute for an individual Kerbal, but I just think it's kind of cool that if you had a low loading ship, you could get back up there. It's true for Gilly, the captured asteroid moon of the Eve, the Venus analog in this game. Thought I'd sped this video up more. You may notice that some of this audio has been off, and that is because I just went back like 10 seconds ago and sped up everything 6 times what it was when I was first post-recording it. And I also cut out a bunch of stuff. That thing back there where I said where I doubled something, cut that out. So don't even bother looking for it, it's gone now. So. Okay, let's try probably didn't notice any difference, but I had a bit of trouble with that last video, and I couldn't get the audio for it, so, I'm back, not sure exactly what I was doing. This part here, I added back in, just, because it would fit. Yeah, I forget what I was talking about in the last little bit. This is all going to be one episode, so it'll seem seamless to you, but I'm recording this like a week or two after that first part of the episode. So, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, so I did this all really far apart. I recorded the episode, and then about a week later I recorded part 1, which will all be in the same video, and now, more than a week later, after that, recording part 2. I just don't have much time to do this, which is why. Also, I think I will be focusing a bit more on KSP series, along with the 2 other series I'm going to be starting soon. One of them actually, Another Survival, might get a bit boring, so I'm going to try to focus on just building stuff minimalistically in it, but it's essentially I'm going to get one day to collect resources in the overworld and spawn myself in enough obsidian to make a portal and go to the nether. I've tried it before in single player, but I'm going to start a series like that. But back to what's happening right now. So, this is, if you're watching the video straight through, which I'm of course not, this will be a repeat of what you already saw on me, just, lowering my periaps and apparatus on Minimus with my little ship there. I believe I had more fuel than necessary in the end. Yeah. At least for Minimus, it's very easy to land on Minimus. The easiest place to get to and get back to from Kerbin is Minimus, because it's right there and it has such low gravity. I think it's got the second or third lowest gravity of anything in the game. You can I believe I said this early on in the same video, but you can actually get into orbit on Minimus. I'm sorry for the audio quality of this. I'm not sure why, but it's very quiet. Like I stop every few minutes and listen to it just to make sure it's still working, and I don't know why it's like this. My phone seems to be all the way up. Something else seems to be all the way up. I'm not sure if I was messing around with the settings, because actually, a little while ago I was unable to record. I'm not sure why, but it just wasn't. Well, I could record, I just couldn't get audio. I actually recorded the first episode of that Another Survival thing I mentioned earlier on. It just didn't work. Tried to do Minecraft episode, that didn't work. So I'm not sure why it's suddenly working. Actually, there's this little thing that says how loud it is, and it's still really low, and you can probably tell, but it was just higher for a second. I'm not sure why. So yeah, if you can see on screen now, I'm using that radar thing, the radar sensor, to see how high I am above the actual surface. It'll say when you're in normal mode how many meters you are above the surface, but that's not the true surface, that's above sea level, which most of the land is above sea level, so you need to go to the radar thing. Like, right now it says, 6,000 meters above sea level, but I'm on land. I'm not sure the watermark for Bandicam is covering it, which is kind of annoying. So, here I've landed, and I'm doing all the science stuff. This is the big reason why you need solar panels if you're going to the moon and you want to do a bunch of experiments, because if you plan on transmitting a lot back, you'll need the electricity and you won't be firing engines. So yeah, again, crew report, the crew canisters, science lab and all that. And get the it's what I mean about how high up you can go. Do you see that? That was just a jump. I'm barely using any fuel to get up. I'm just moving myself around. And see how easily that responds? I'm doing all this stuff kind of back. Not too about this name, I kind of just like threw it down really quickly. It was small step for huge step jump for Kerbal, and an even huger. That's not even proper grammar, is it? And an even more huge jump for yeah. Didn't really think it through. I believe I recorded this at like 11 at night because I just wanted to get a video out. but I didn't. I haven't gotten a video up for more than a week now on this channel. So, it really wasn't worth it. I might as well just waited and recorded it during the day at another time. I've actually got a few episodes of stuff recorded, but I just don't have the audio for it because I started doing this more often and stuff like this where I'll record them, commentate afterwards. Or I have some stuff that I have all recorded, but I have to edit it together. So, yeah. Honestly, to get on Minimus, you don't even really need a ladder as long as you have EVA fuel. You can just jump up and burn up. Same with the moon relay, but ladder's nice still. And there I go, flying off pretty quickly. Let's get a bit more stuff while still just above the surface. And it's really easy to get off places without an atmosphere, especially when there's such low gravity. You can see I'm already way up. I'll go up to 20,000. My speed's pretty high too. So yeah, I started burning sideways to try to get into an orbit, but then I realized I didn't need to. I could just burn straight up and get back into an orbit around carbon. So I started burning upwards again, and that's what I did. Now I'm showing my little flag. Shows where you are. Didn't leave any debris, just that. Okay. Probably should cut some of this out. Yeah. This is sped up 4 times at this point. And there's just a nice little view of Minimus. Okay, so I'm kind of confused. So you'll notice that the sound just jumped way up. So I had it plugged into this one thing on a docking station on my computer. So then I plugged it onto the computer, which normally doesn't work. Like I tried recording it there before, didn't record anything, and now it's working fine. The first time I tried this, it would only work on the computer, then it stopped working there, and I had to plug it into the docking station, and now it's not working there. I'm confused. But yeah, it's working okay. So I don't know why that is. But back to the video, you can see there I'm about to get to the escape. That orange line, just as a reminder, is the orbit I'm going to be in once I do escape. The blue is the orbit I'm currently in. And this is sped up in game 2, I want to say 100 or 1,000 times or something. Oh, now 1 time. And the video is sped up 4 times, so 400%. And the first part of the video, which was this first half of the video you're watching now, was mostly sped up to 600% to get it really cut down. This one's mostly sped up to 400% because I felt it might be a bit easier to see what was going on at some points, although one little bit is sped up to 600%. This part probably should have been 2, now that I'm thinking about it, but it's too late to change it now. So like you can see I'm loading my periaps. Now, I believe I've said this before, but if you are trying to land on a body with an atmosphere, you don't need to worry. The most fuel efficient you can do is aerobrake, so you just get your periaps just into the atmosphere, and then it'll slow down your apparatus, so you don't have to worry about burning retrograde to slow yourself down, which is a lot easier, saves a lot of fuel, especially in Kerbin, because you want to land there in the end. And you don't necessarily want to lift back up again. Yeah, and I got a counter with the moon there, it looks like. That actually lasts for a little while. Yeah, it's can be trouble getting in contact with the moon all the time. And there we go, 7,000 meters up, and burning prograde here. And the reason I'm burning prograde is because I don't know the exact height, but many mountains on Kerbin and other bodies are higher than a few hundred meters, and I probably wouldn't hit anything, and I don't think that any of them are more than a few thousand meters up. But I didn't remember at the time, and I still don't. I think I looked it up afterwards, but I just wasn't sure what the total height was and didn't want to slow down, then run into a mountain. Looking at this map now, at the moment, that doesn't look like it's a problem, but I wasn't sure. You can see that I actually changed the staging to have the parachute go out before I dropped the engines. That was because I only put on one parachute, which was that big design flaw I mentioned earlier. That's a big problem because this is fairly dense and coming in pretty steep. And what ends up happening is that I come in too fast, so I figured I'd just use the engine to try to get off some velocity, which it did, it helped, but it wasn't enough in the end. Like, you can see here, even at this 9.9 meters per second, you want to be going, yeah, this is the thing. This is so bad. The science module gave, I forget what it was, but it was like 100 science or something. And I just lost that whole thing because I didn't put on enough parachutes. I believe I also lost the goo canisters, but I'm not completely sure. So, yeah, just because... Oh, no, I did that to get it. If you notice, I collect the data. You can do that with Kerbal. They can go up to a science thing or a command module and take the science out of it and carry it around. So, here I'm trying to do all the more stuff because I landed in the deserts, which are fairly hard to get to. So that's good. And also I had the temperature thing, the thermometer, which is nice to have. Funnily enough, you'll notice the other thing, the base that I dropped, landed over there. You might have seen a second ago, but go back a few seconds. Yeah, there it is. Oh, go back a second in the video. There it was. It landed safely. So I thought that was kind of funny that that survived. So, here I go back. And I am going to unlock some stuff. Now, I got 519 science total now, and getting a lot of stuff. Solar panels I think I skip because they're not super useful. These big rocket engines are, I normally actually prefer the smaller ones. I think that they're just easier to work with, but the big ones are just more powerful. So now I'm just going to make some small little changes. I'm going to add parachutes, I think, make a few other small changes to fit with the mistakes I had. Like, see, there's the parachutes, and I'm adding the new stuff I added, because there's 3 bodies in KSP that have different biomes. That's Kerbin, which you can just use planes to explore, the moon, and Minimus. So I may go back in another episode, or off camera even, to go to some of the other biomes there. On the moon, pretty much all the big craters are a biome. On Minimus, I think it's like highlands, lowlands, slopes, and so on. So then, episode is about done. This is Crow99, thank you for watching. And please watch the next episode.